On Zombie Reddit, today's story is...
My sister cruelly made fun of my weight during her engagement party, never imagining that my 5-second response would teach her a lesson in instant karma that she will never forget. I never imagined that I would end up causing drama at my sister's engagement party, but that's exactly what happened. To be honest, I'm still processing everything that happened. Let me share some background about my relationship with my sister Betty and how we got into this complicated situation. Maybe this will help me determine if I really am the villain in this story. I am 28 and Betty is 30. We have always had a complicated relationship. It is one of those relationships where we love each other but inevitably compete for everything. During our childhood, Betty was the model daughter. She constantly got perfect grades, had the best friends, and had a wardrobe that anyone would envy. I, on the other hand, was more laid back and less concerned with meeting other people's expectations. Over the years, we have had numerous arguments, mainly about trivial matters, but there has always been this underlying tension of competition between us. A few months ago, I found out that I was pregnant. My husband and I had been trying for a while, and we were happy with the news. However, it was still very early on, barely 10 weeks, so we decided not to tell anyone yet. My first trimester was difficult. Between the morning sickness and unexpected weight gain, I wasn't exactly feeling my best. To avoid uncomfortable questions, I started wearing looser clothes and skipping family dinners where I couldn't help but refuse certain foods without raising suspicion. During that same period, Betty started dropping hints about her boyfriend, Mark. She was convinced that he would propose to her soon. She was constantly sending me links to engagement rings and talking about how eager she was to plan their engagement party. She was clearly very excited about having her moment in the spotlight. I decided it would be best to keep my pregnancy a secret for a little while longer. I didn't want to downplay her excitement, and to be honest, I didn't want her to feel like I was trying to overshadow her. Besides, my husband and I weren't ready to share the news yet. Unfortunately, the secret didn't last long. One night, Betty came to my house unannounced. I was in front of my computer looking at baby clothes when she came in and saw the screen. She immediately connected the dots and exclaimed, "You're pregnant!" She couldn't deny it, so I confirmed it. At first, she seemed happy for me and even gave me a hug. She asked me if our parents already knew, and I explained that I wasn't ready to share it yet. I asked her to keep it a secret, and she agreed. Fast forward a few weeks to Betty's engagement party. She and Mark spared no expense, renting a beautiful banquet hall, decorated with bright lights, elegant floral arrangements, and a selection of champagne so luxurious it would have been fit for a royal ball. The guest list was extensive, full of family, friends, and some of Mark's colleagues, all elegantly dressed for the occasion. On the surface, it seemed like the perfect night, but as the day approached, my initial enthusiasm was overshadowed by a growing sense of unease. Several months pregnant, I was experiencing many physical and emotional changes. My energy level was lower than ever, my feet had become 2 swollen balloons, and finding something flattering to wear felt like a battle I was not prepared for. After much trial and error, I finally settled on a flowy, supposedly belly-friendly dress that did not turn out as elegant as I had hoped. By the time we arrived, the party was in full swing. Betty looked absolutely radiant. For the first hour or so, I did my best to enjoy myself. I caught up with relatives I hadn't seen for a long time. I drank sparkling water, and I even managed to crack a few genuine smiles, but then it was time for the toasts. It all began on a positive note. Several close friends of Betty and Mark gave heartfelt speeches that had everyone clapping and getting emotional. The atmosphere was warm, festive, and full of affection. Then Betty took the microphone. Her speech began sweetly enough, expressing gratitude to all those who had come to celebrate with them. She shared affectionate words about Mark, her enthusiasm for the future, and even joked about some of the quirks they shared as a couple. It was charming, and everyone present hung on her every word. Then he decided to lighten the mood with a series of jokes. At first, the humor was harmless, kind comments about his mother worrying about the seating arrangements and Mark's well-known tendency to forget things. The crowd laughed, and so did I, thinking the speech would end on a positive note. But then he turned his attention to me. Betty made a comment about how the party wouldn't have been complete without my presence because, apparently, I had helped finish all the pre-event appetizers. The room erupted in uncomfortable laughter as I forced a strained smile, hoping no one would notice how awkward I felt. My husband's comforting gaze momentarily reassured me, but the discomfort persisted. I convinced myself that it was just an ill-timed joke, probably influenced by a glass or two of champagne. I told myself that I should let it go, but the evening didn't give me that opportunity. Later, in a smaller group, Betty decided to press home her comments. She joked that I was preparing to hibernate, as if my weight gain was some kind of seasonal joke. Her laughter echoed, as if she had just made the wittiest comment of the century. I told myself I should ignore it, that it was just a one-off, and that everyone would soon forget about it. But the universe had other plans. When I rejoined the group, another person, clearly inspired by Betty's previous jokes, made a comment about my supposed tendency to eat when stressed. That was too much. My patience ran out. I didn't even think about what I was saying. The words just came out of my mouth. I announced to everyone present that I was pregnant. The room fell completely silent. For a split second, I thought I had made a serious mistake. But then the silence was broken, and congratulations started to come from all directions. My parents were ecstatic, hugging me and shedding tears of joy. My husband seemed relieved, as if he had been waiting for this moment to happen. Even Mark, Betty's fiancé, came over to shake my hand and tell me how happy he was for us. Betty, however, was furious. She took me aside and accused me of stealing her moment and ruining her engagement party. I told her there was nothing she could do about it. I explained that I hadn't planned to announce it, but that her repeated comments had left me with no alternative. She walked away angrily, crying, and the rest of the night was a mixture of people congratulating me while I felt guilty for having overshadowed her big moment. The consequences have been a nightmare. A couple of days later, I sent Betty a long apology message explaining that it had not been my intention to upstage her, but that her jokes had really hurt me. She didn't reply for a while, but when she finally did, her response was scathing. She accused me of being selfish and of having done it intentionally. I tried to reason with her, but she refused to listen. She insisted that I could have simply ignored her comments or waited until after the party to announce my pregnancy. Our parents intervened, with Mom trying to mediate the situation. She told Betty that her jokes were not appropriate and that I had every right to defend myself. Betty stood firm, saying that I should have been more mature. Nowadays, she barely speaks to me. She has even hinted that she might not invite me to her wedding, which I find extreme and hurtful. What has made the situation even more complicated is the reaction of the rest of the family. Most agree that Betty went too far with her comments, but some have pointed out that I could have handled the situation better. Some have suggested that I should have waited for another time to announce my pregnancy, no matter how provoked I felt. This has made me wonder, was it wrong to speak out? Should I have repressed my feelings and let her have her moment? To complicate matters further, some of Betty's friends have contacted me privately. They told me that they consider Betty's behavior during the party to be inappropriate and that she has been constantly unburdening herself to them ever since. Apparently, she feels insecure because this is her second engagement and she is afraid that people will not be as enthusiastic as they were the first time. While I can understand that concern, it does not justify her treating me like a laughingstock. I don't know what to do now. Part of me wants to approach her again and try to reconcile, but another part feels like I've already done enough. I've apologized, I've explained my perspective, and she continues to act like I've ruined her life. Am I supposed to keep giving in to make her feel better when she hasn't even acknowledged how much she hurt me? I never wanted to upstage her or steal the spotlight. All I wanted was to celebrate her engagement and quietly enjoy my little secret. But now I'm stuck wondering, did I handle all this wrong? Am I really to blame in this situation? Hi everyone. Update 1. Hi everyone. Thanks for reading my post and taking the time to do so. I honestly wasn't expecting so many reactions. I've read your comments and messages, and while some have been comforting, others have really made me reflect on how I handled the situation. It's been an emotional whirlwind since the engagement party. I think I'll share an update because honestly, this situation has taken on a life of its own. 2 days have passed since the whole incident, and my phone has not stopped ringing. Most of the calls and messages have been congratulations on the pregnancy, which is nice. But there have also been quite a few people looking for juicy details about what happened at the party. I have kept my responses as neutral as possible because I don't want to fuel any more drama than there already is. A simple, "Thank you, we're very excited," and a quick change of subject have been my usual responses. But of course, those who were present have their opinions and don't hesitate to share them. Some feel that I didn't need to apologize at all and that Betty provoked the situation with her comments. Others believe that I should have chosen a more opportune moment to announce my pregnancy, no matter how provoked I felt. It's like being on trial where half the jury is on my side and the other half thinks I'm the villain. And then there's that group of people who just want to remember every detail of the party, from who said what to who was standing where. Initially, I tried to explain my side to anyone who brought it up. I explained that I never intended to crash Betty's party and that I would have kept my pregnancy a secret if she hadn't made all those jokes about me. But after a while I got fed up. How many people am I supposed to justify myself to? Everyone seems to have an opinion, and the more I try to defend myself, the more I feel like I'm digging a deeper hole. So now I just dismiss it with a vague, "It was an emotional night, and I'm concentrating on moving on." My parents are doing their best to act as mediators, which I understand. They're caught in a difficult situation, two daughters at odds and both convinced that they are the ones being harmed. My mother calls me every day to see how I am, and although I appreciate her effort, I can tell that she's overwhelmed. She constantly says things like, "You know how Betty can be," as if that excuses her behavior. My father, on the other hand, remains mostly silent, but I know he is upset with the whole situation. He is the type who hates conflict, and this is a major conflict. Then there's my husband. He's alternated between being understanding and funny, which honestly is the only thing keeping me sane at the moment. He finds the whole situation both hilarious and slightly embarrassing. On the one hand, he thinks that Betty's behavior during the party was completely inappropriate and that my announcement was justified. On the other hand, he's a little embarrassed that our pregnancy news came out in such a chaotic way. He keeps telling me to stop stressing about it and to focus on my health and the baby, and he's right. But that's easier said than done when your phone keeps lighting up with messages like, "Betty really said that to you?" And gosh, how do you feel after all that drama? Speaking of Betty, she has remained completely silent. She hasn't called, she hasn't texted, she hasn't even reacted to anything I've posted on social media. I know she's angry, but it's frustrating because I've already apologized and I don't know what else she expects from me. However, I did hear from one of her friends. Apparently, Betty has been complaining about me nonstop and is still upset because I stole her moment. Her friend told me that Betty felt the party should be her big occasion and that now the only thing everyone can talk about is my pregnancy. I understand that she is hurt, but it's hard to feel empathy when she takes no responsibility for her actions. What really baffles me is how this is spread to our extended family. My aunt called yesterday to check up on me, but ended up grilling me about the party. She said something like, "You know, dear, timing is everything," as if I wasn't aware of that. Then my cousin piped up with, "Honestly, I don't blame you. Betty can be so unpleasant sometimes. It's like everyone is choosing sides, and I'm caught in the middle of a family debate." Even my grandmother, who usually stays out of these matters, made an enigmatic comment about how siblings should support each other, not belittle each other. Part of me wants to reach out to Betty again, even though she hasn't responded to my last message. I keep wondering if there's some magic combination of words that will make her understand my perspective. But another part of me is so tired of being the one to extend the olive branch. I've already apologized and explained myself. How much more am I supposed to give in? The irony is that before all this, Betty and I were in a pretty good place. We weren't extremely close, but we weren't constantly in conflict either. Now it feels like all that progress has vanished overnight. And for what? For a few thoughtless jokes and an impulsive reaction? Anyway, that's how things currently stand. I'm trying to focus on my health and my baby, but it's hard not to feel overwhelmed by all this. Maybe Betty and I will find a way to reconcile. Or maybe this will be one of those situations that we will never completely get over. For now, I'm just taking it one day at a time and hoping for the best. Update 2. It's been several days since my last update, and things have taken some interesting and frankly exhausting turns. I didn't expect to hear from anyone outside my immediate family about what happened, but some of Betty's friends surprised me. Several of her close friends who were at the engagement party actually contacted me, which was unexpected and a little uncomfortable. Liz, one of Betty's best friends since childhood, was the first to send me a message. She told me she regretted how everything had turned out and wanted to apologize on Betty's behalf. She said Betty had been constantly venting to her about the party. And although Liz tried to be a supportive friend, she also pointed out to Betty that she might have gone too far with the jokes. According to Liz, Betty did not take that feedback well, but she admitted that she might have crossed the line. It was strange to hear that. I mean, Betty hasn't said a single word to me directly, but now I'm getting indirect apologies through her friends. It felt a bit surreal. Liz wasn't the only one. Jennifer, another friend of Betty's who attended the party, sent me a long message apologizing for not intervening when the jokes got out of hand. She said she had felt uncomfortable with Betty's comments, but didn't want to cause a scene at the time. I should have said something, she wrote. It wasn't right for her to keep making fun of you, especially when you weren't laughing. While I appreciate her honesty, it's a little frustrating to hear it now. If she or anyone else had intervened at the time, maybe things wouldn't have escalated the way they did. On the one hand, it comforts me that people recognize how wrong Betty was. I feel validated, as if I wasn't imagining how hurtful her behavior was. But on the other hand, it's strange to have all these people apologizing on her behalf while she continues to ignore me. It's like watching a soap opera where everyone talks around the main conflict instead of addressing it directly. I don't want to be the unlucky sister that everyone feels sorry for. I just want things to go back to normal, or at least as normal as they can be after all this. From Betty, however, not a word. She hasn't reached out. She hasn't sent messages. She hasn't even acknowledged my existence in the family group chat. I continue to debate internally whether I should make the first move. Should I send another message, call her, show up at her house? Part of me wants to just face the situation and try to resolve it, but another part is so tired of always being the first to reach out. I've already apologized. I've already explained my position. What else am I supposed to do? Then there's my mom, who finds herself caught in the middle of all this. She called me yesterday to give me an update on the situation from Camp Betty. When I asked her how my sister was, she sighed and said, she's still upset, but it's more about how the party turned out than anything else. That comment left me perplexed. I asked her to explain what she meant by that. My mother's explanation was that Betty feels that all her great moments have always been overshadowed. Apparently, she has been harboring this insecurity for a long time. Betty confessed to Mom that because I got married 6 months before her engagement, everyone had already celebrated for me, and they weren't as excited for her this time. And now, with the pregnancy announcement, she feels like she was robbed of the spotlight once again. Hearing this, honestly, made my blood boil. How can this be my fault? Am I supposed to feel bad for living my life and having my own achievements? It's not like I planned my wedding or my pregnancy with his engagement in mind. Her feelings are starting to seem less like genuine pain and more like a convenient excuse to take it out on me. However, I cannot ignore the fact that she is clearly dealing with some insecurities. I understand. This is her second engagement, and she is probably worried that people will not take her seriously. But that does not give her the right to make me the target of her frustrations. I am exhausted from being her emotional safety valve. It seems that whatever I do, I can't win. If I stay quiet, I'm not being supportive enough. If I defend myself, I'm stealing the spotlight from him. I'm tired of trying to play this impossible game. Fortunately, my husband is supporting me through all this mess. But even with his backing, I can't shake the feeling of being stuck. I'm excited about the baby, but I feel like this drama is overshadowing everything. Every time I try to focus on the future, Betty's words come back to me. I wonder if she'll ever come around or if she plans to stay mad at me indefinitely. My mother insists that I give her time, but I'm starting to lose patience. How long am I supposed to wait? And it's not just me she's avoiding. My aunt, who has always been like a second mother to her, tried to reach out to her yesterday to offer her support. Betty rejected her with a curt, "I don't want to talk about it," and she hasn't responded since. It seems like she's isolating herself from everyone, not just me. At this point, I don't even know what she wants. Does she want me to humiliate myself? To keep apologizing until she feels better? I can't keep tiptoeing around waiting for her to decide that I'm worthy of her forgiveness. After much reflection and a few late-night ice cream sessions, I've made a decision. I'm done waiting for Betty to take the first step. I've already apologized. I've already explained myself. I've done everything I can to fix the situation. And if she's not ready to move on, that's her problem, not mine. I can't continue to put my life on hold for someone who is clearly more interested in holding on to her anger than in reconciling. That said, I'm not completely shutting her out. She's my sister and I love her. Even if she is being difficult at the moment, I am not going to keep giving in to fix something that she is not willing to approach with flexibility. I have a lot to be grateful for. A baby on the way, an understanding husband, and a future full of possibilities. If Betty wants to be part of that, I would welcome her with open arms, but if she prefers to stay trapped in her resentment, I will not allow her to drag me down with her. Update 3. Hello everyone. It's been a while, but I'm back with another update. A lot has happened since my last post, and I've finally had some time to process it all. Honestly, this whole situation has been such an emotional roller coaster that I've barely had the energy to sit down and fully share it. I know many of you have been following the story, so here's the latest. As I mentioned earlier, my sister Betty and I hadn't spoken for a while after the engagement party incident. Things were tense, and I honestly wasn't in a hurry to break the silence. My mother, however, had other plans. She was determined that we would communicate again, probably because she was exhausted from acting as an intermediary between us. Eventually, after much insistence from Mom, Betty and I agreed to meet. We decided to talk at my house as it felt like neutral territory. I thought that if the conversation became heated, at least I would have the comfort of my own home as a refuge. When Betty arrived, the atmosphere was uncomfortable from the start. We exchanged polite pleasantries initially, but it was clear that neither of us really wanted to be there. After some prevarication, we finally got down to business. Betty acknowledged that she might have overreacted during the party, which I appreciated, but she also firmly maintained her belief that I should not have announced my pregnancy that day. That reignited all the feelings I had been trying to suppress: frustration, hurt, and if I'm honest, some guilt. I expressed how I felt to her. I hadn't planned to make an announcement, but her comments about my weight had left me humiliated and cornered. From that point on, the conversation intensified. We both mentioned old grievances, issues that I wasn't even aware we still held. Betty revealed that she had been feeling insecure since I had married before her. She said that it made her feel as if she were being left behind, especially because I am the younger sister. Hearing that really surprised me. I had never perceived our lives as some kind of competition, but apparently she had. It made me realize that much of her behavior, her jokes, her comments, even her reaction to my pregnancy, was rooted in these insecurities that I didn't even know she harbored. It was frustrating, but also a little sad. We went back to talking about the engagement party, and Betty admitted that she was upset about more than just my pregnancy announcement. She felt that the whole event had been overshadowed, not just by me, but by everything that had happened in the previous months. She mentioned how my wedding, which had taken place almost a year earlier, had already stolen attention from her engagement. Hearing her say that made me realize how much resentment I had been building up. By the end of the conversation, we had cleared the air. We both recognized where we went wrong, but it was clear that the damage had already been done. I told her that although I understood her feelings, what she did was not fair to me. Not only did she embarrass me in front of everyone at the party, but she also ruined my plans to surprise our parents with the news of my pregnancy. Finally, I told him that I wouldn't be attending his wedding. It wasn't an easy decision, but I felt it was the right thing to do for both of us. The idea of pretending that everything was fine while tensions simmered just didn't feel right. I needed to prioritize my own peace of mind, and I knew that being at his wedding would only increase the stress. After that conversation, I experienced a strange feeling of relief. It wasn't exactly closure, but it was enough to help me move on. I realized that whatever sisterly bond Betty and I had previously no longer existed, and that was okay. I guess sometimes relationships change, and not all bonds are meant to last forever. In the weeks that followed, I focused on myself and my pregnancy. My husband has been my unconditional support throughout this process, constantly reminding me to take care of myself and not let the conflict overwhelm me. We have been spending more time together, planning for the baby, and finding little moments of joy in the midst of all this chaos. Meanwhile, Betty has kept her distance, which I think is for the best. Although I have heard through the family that she is still upset, she has also been reflecting on her actions. My aunt tried to reach out to her recently, and Betty replied that she didn't want to talk about it. She seems to be retreating into her own space, and while I hope she finds the clarity she needs, I can't spend my energy worrying about her indefinitely. To everyone who commented on my previous updates, thank you. Your words of encouragement helped me more than I can say. Many of you advised me not to feel guilty about standing up for myself, and that advice has stayed with me. It reminded me that I don't have to bear the weight of someone else's insecurities or try to fix situations that are not mine to fix. At this point, I'm not sure what the future holds for my relationship with Betty. Perhaps time will heal some of these wounds, or maybe we will continue to grow apart. Either way, I have come to accept it. I have a lot to look forward to: becoming a mother, building a life with my husband, and embracing this new chapter. So here's to moving forward, to leaving guilt behind and focusing on the things that really matter. And here's to all of you who have followed my story and offered your support. You've been like a little virtual family to me, and I am deeply grateful for that. Thank you for reading, for caring, and for helping me see things from a new perspective. I'm excited about what's to come, and I can't wait to share it with you.